Then they released something called Instagram Stories many years later. That was to compete with Snapchat. We'll go over those today. And then, of course, a few years ago, they introduced Instagram Reels, which is their version of competing with TikTok. So, amongst those types of ways to post, there are some that are more valuable than others. There are some that have, more different features than other ones do. There are some that allow more people to see it than others. There's some that allow link clicking and others don't. So we're going to go over all that today. If you do have any questions along the way, as Tony mentioned, feel free to, unmute yourself. If you put it in chat, I'll do my best to see it. If not, I'll see it at the end and we can take questions then as well. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you give me just 2 seconds, I have to get it set up the right way where I can share my phone screen. So give me just 1 minute and we will be off to the races. Is that showing up, Tony?
Yep, looks perfect.
Okay, great. So, obviously, what we're going to do first of all, and it's not going to bother me at all. I expect everyone's heads to kind of be tilted down if you want to follow along and look at Instagram while I'm doing it as well. It certainly won't bother me. But once you're logged into Instagram, again, I'm not going to go over every single button here because we want to focus more on the creation side today. If you've never watched Reels before, it's the button in the bottom, well, the second from the right-hand side, that play button inside of a square. I can click on that and I can go look through Reels. Now, I'm going to start with Reels as an explanation, but the first thing we're actually going to build is a post. But what I want to do real quickly is kind of explain some of the benefits of each type. So just a second ago, I mentioned that reel or each, a post, a story, and a reel, they all have kind of different values within the system. Which ones work better than others. So what you need to know about Instagram Reels is they are currently the best type of post you can make. If you want to think it's the most valuable in terms of the amount of people it can reach. So Reels are sent across essentially the entire platform. People don't have to follow you in order to see it. So you don't need a large follower count in order to get attention on these. It's also the best way to earn new followers. As you can see here, as I'm just kind of scrolling past some of them, if you look towards the bottom of the reel next to the person's username, there's a follow button right there. On the right-hand side, I could still like, comment, or share this particular reel. Everything I need to engage with this person is on each and every reel. So when I'm working with people, sometimes they'll say, hey, look, I started an Instagram account however many years or months ago, whatever the case may be. And all my friends and family and coworkers followed me, but I've hit this plateau and I can't get any more followers. Well, some of that is a content issue, which that's a different story. But a lot of it is you're not posting the things that actually get in front of new people. And reels are what help you get in front of new people and increase that follower count. So reels, while they can be the most difficult thing on the platform to create, they take the most time. I'll word it that way. It tends to be the most rewarding and the thing that's going to actually increase your profile more than any other type of post on here. So I'm going to exit out of Reels really quickly and go back to my home screen. If you look at the top of my screen right now, I've got those kind of circles. I can scroll left and right on those. Most of you probably know, but if you don't, those are Instagram stories. So these are only people that I follow. So you're not going to see random people up here. It's only going to be people that you follow from your account. If I click on these, it's similar to a reel in that it takes up the whole screen, but they do have different features. So one of the things that you really need to know about Instagram and Instagram stories specifically is that they only last for 24 hours. So I kind of mentioned this was their competitor to Snapchat, 7, 8 years ago when they launched this. And that's something Snapchat was famous for is they last for 24 hours. There is a way to save stories forever and save it to your profile, but that's a different argument. For the most part, what you need to know is a story is only going to be seen for 24 hours. Now, some people don't really get the point of that, and understandably so, but just kind of understand that stories are meant to be really like that flash in the pan type behind the scenes of an event. It's not really meant to be there forever. It's not something that you want people to keep revisiting and document and watch for like educational purposes. It really is meant to just be kind of a quick message. You needed to get it out today, tomorrow, that kind of a thing, and then it can be gone. The benefit of a story is it puts your profile picture at the top of the screen here. So if I followed you and you posted an Instagram story, your circle would be the first circle that I see. And if somebody else that I follow posted a story 5 minutes after you, their circle would jump up to the top of the feed and yours would be the second bubble on the top line. If you then posted another story an hour later, let's say, you would jump back up to the front of the line again. So what you're going to notice is there's lots of people that use stories very strategically just to stay at the top of people's feeds. Whether people actually watch their story or not, their picture, their name is always there. A lot of people also like them because they're very easy to make. They're quick, they're easy to do. And again, we're going to go over all that in just a second. But they're very, very easy to make. And the last thing, the last advantage that stories have is they're the only post you can make on Instagram that you can include a clickable link. So the only other place on Instagram you can have a link is in your bio of your actual profile. But on a reel, you cannot include a clickable link. On a regular Instagram post, you cannot include a clickable link. On stories, you can. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second, but just wanted to talk about some of the advantages. Even if you see the 24-hour thing as a disadvantage, stories do still, offer their own kind of upside as well. And then lastly, as I'm scrolling up and down on my feed, you're going to notice a couple things. These are more of the standard original Instagram posts, if you want to think of them that way. Now, I will still see reels in this, like this is an Instagram reel. So they do put reels in the timeline as well. So when you're scrolling up and down, you're going to see a mix of reels and also a mix of just static posts. Now, the thing with static posts is it's usually what people are most comfortable doing because, like I said, it was the only thing Instagram offered when Instagram launched. So it's what people are used to. And I'm not saying not to do them because they are helpful, but they are the least helpful post you can make on Instagram. Most people just do it and then they've like checked off their box for the day that they posted on Instagram and then they move on and wonder why their Instagram strategy is not working. And the fact of the matter is just not many people are engaging with the timeline or the static images this way. Your average person logs on to Instagram and the first thing they do is look at stories. Certainly that 25 to 35-year-old demo. That's the first thing they do. They might scroll for a second, but they're going to go right past static photos and immediately look at the video catches your eye quicker. And they're going to go right to reels, or they might just go to their reels section like I was in earlier and just look at reels only. So the static images you're going to find are going to be your worst performing post on Instagram. Now I'm going to go back to Atlantic Bay's main profile and show you we still post them. So again, some of these that you're looking at right now, some of these are reels, some of these are posts. If you look at each one of these images, there's an icon in the upper right-hand corner. And if it's got a little play button in the upper right-hand corner of that image, it means it's a reel. If you see just that blank square in the upper right-hand corner, it's just a static post. So we have them all and we try to do a good mix. So, I kind of tell people they're important, do them from time to time, but really if you're going to take an Instagram strategy seriously, you need to start focusing on doing more reels and stories and kind of, pump the brakes a little bit on just the quick and easy static image because that's not going to be doing a whole lot for you. So let's get into how to actually create these. We'll go in reverse order. We'll start with the static post, the easiest one to do, but the least beneficial in my opinion. So what we're going to do to create a post is if you look at the bottom row of buttons there, the one directly in the middle with the plus sign is what you want to focus on. That's going to bring up your most likely your camera roll. I've got a lot of picture of my dogs. I know a lot of people do. So you can kind of scroll through. Now you do have the option when you're creating, whether it's a post, a story, or a reel, you can use pictures or videos that you have previously taken somewhere else, or you can record live, like right in the moment. So if you'll notice, I've got a row of buttons along the top that says camera, clip hub, and templates. Actually, I got ahead of myself a little bit. If you look at the bottom of the screen, I'm currently selected on reel. I need to slide that bar over and it'll go from story to post. So slide that bar over to where it says post on the far left-hand side. You're still going to get the same options. So right now I'm looking at my camera roll. I can do whatever I want. I can choose whatever image or images that I want to utilize. If you look kind of in the middle, there's a camera button on the right hand middle side. If I were to click on that, it would bring up my camera right now on my phone. So if I wanted to capture a picture right now versus one that I've captured in the past, I can do that. For these static image Instagram posts, more than likely, it's going to be a picture you've already taken. There's not too many people doing the picture in the moment for an Instagram post, which is why normally your photo album comes up first. So I'm just gonna, select this one. You're welcome to select multiple photos if you want. People can kind of scroll left and right if you pick 3, 4, 5 photos, whatever you want to do. I'll just pick one for just to make this example easy. So once you've chosen your photo, if you go ahead and hit next in the upper right hand corner, it's going to take you. This is relatively new to Instagram. You finally do have some editing options even to your static Instagram posts. You can add music to these now. Like it used to be only Reels had options for music. So you see that music button in the upper right hand corner. I could click on that and I could choose a song. It's given me a suggested song right now to add. Um, I don't have to utilize that, obviously. Um, I have filter options in the bottom that I can scroll left and right on if I wanted to use any filters. I have options up at the top. If I click on that I could type in or sog. I can type in whatever I wanted if I can spell dog correctly. I can move that anywhere. So if this was, a picture of one of your listings and you wanted to point something out or type something out about it, you can add whatever you want to these and, make it whatever you want to make it and put that text box wherever you want. But point being, you have some filter options, some brightness options here. It's very, very straightforward. And then all you end up doing is hitting the next button, the bottom right hand corner. Hit OK on that one. And now is where the section where I'd actually be making the post. So I have that write a caption section. I could say, hey, come check out this house this weekend for blah, blah, blah. If I wanted to tag Tony in it, I could tag his profile by using the @ symbol and typing in Tony G. If I was I was promoting a local store or a restaurant, I would be sure to tag them. I mean, you've got all kinds of options here. Now, one of the big ones to keep in mind when you're doing this, I'm going to hit OK really quickly. If you'll look, I'm scrolling up, so it's kind of right in the middle right now. I have an option that says add location. If I do that, that's going to kind of help and ensure that more people in my direct area see this post versus outside of my area. Now, on a static regular Instagram post, that is not as big of a deal because only people that follow you pretty much are going to see this post anyway. This becomes a much bigger deal on Instagram Reels, so we'll talk about that in a couple minutes here into the future. But just know that if you wanted to say, "Hey, look, I'm at the office or at, this particular restaurant or, whatever the case may be, you can do that here. And then what you can do is go ahead and click that share button. You can see advanced settings at the bottom. If I click on advanced settings, I have an option to schedule the post as well. So if I didn't want to post it immediately, I could click on advanced settings and then I have a schedule post option that I can utilize. So once you either hit publish now or once you hit share or you schedule that post, then as you can imagine, that post will be sent and published to your Instagram profile. And again, you would find that once it's posted by going back to your profile and you'd see it here on your profile section in your timeline and people would be able to engage with it. So the setup and creation is going to look pretty similar for the next two things, but there's just different editing options as we kind of climb the scale of more involved posts. Okay. So next we're going to tackle stories, which again is that 24-hour lasting post. It's the circles at the top of people's screens. So again, I'm going to click the plus button in the bottom middle of my screen. And I've got my little scroll wheel. It's always going to go to reels automatically because they're trying to encourage you to make a reel. So I'm going to slide that over from reel to story. It's got me on camera, which is horrifying. So I'm going to change that by clicking on my photo album real quick. So now again, I'm on my photo albums. If I wanted to switch back to camera, you can see I could click that camera button and my camera would pop back up and I could record it live in the moment. Whatever I needed, whatever I wanted to do. Again, I'm just going to choose, just for ease sake, the same image as last time. I could um choose multiple images if I wanted to, as I mentioned before on the post that we just did a second ago. We do have a few more options at the top of the screen, though, if you'll notice, just a little bit of a different layout. So that very first one, not the X, but the one beside the X, if I click on that, they have a new AI feature, which some people are going to have, some people aren't. It kind of depends on what version of Instagram you're on. It depends on like if you're updated or not. But what's going to happen is it'll actually physically cut out my dog here, and then I can put any background I want on it. So instead of him just laying on a pillow, with my den in the background, I could do this kind of a thing. Or I can go back to it and, kind of choose whatever I want. Now, I know this seems like, what's the point? Why in the world would we do this? It's because Instagram is trying to test out and improve their AI software for future tools and for future assets. So, what does that mean for you? Instagram has a habit of rewarding people who use their newest features. So you will get better engagement, even though the picture might look dumb. Like, what do I care that my dog is in a fake eclipse looking or whatever it was? Just know that if you can you could do that and then come back and add some kind of like funny text to the top of it or something like that. And it's just for the sake of giving somebody, it's just random content. It's just for a chuckle, right? But Instagram likes people using their new stuff. You will be rewarded for it. The people that started Reels when they launched them 5 or 6 years ago, getting hundreds of thousands of views because they were really trying to compete with TikTok, and Reels were the newest thing to post at the time. So when you find new features like this, even if it's on an old way of posting, it's worth seeing if you can. You don't have to do it every time, but if you'll try them out occasionally, you will notice a difference in the engagement levels you get on these posts. So that's their new AI feature up top. The button beside that is if I wanted to do any kind of if I was getting paid, you know what I mean? Like if I wanted to partner with the SPCA and tag them on this post or something like that, I could do that. And then when I posted it, it would say Atlantic Bay and the SPCA or something like that. Then we get into the lowercase and uppercase A. That's the same for any piece of content we make today. That's just how I can add text boxes, little blurbs, words, whatever I wanted to say. Again, if I'm inviting you to an open house this weekend, I mean, whatever you need to put words on a screen. That's how the tool you're gonna utilize. Um, Beside that is that little smiley face inside of a square. That's called their stickers button. This one is really, really helpful. So they have this for Instagram stories. They also have this for Instagram reels. This is how you can add lots of different things, including your location where you're at, including like if you wanted to add a little like GIF on top of the picture you already have. Um, I can do that kind of a thing. If I want to get rid of it, I just drag it to the trash can. If I go back to this, I cancel out of the GIF section. Um, there's, I can add little polls where people can vote on an answer or, select an option. I can put, we've all seen it where it has the weather or the temperature in the morning when somebody goes running and they capture it that way. There's lots of different things here, but the one I really want to kind of highlight, it's right in the middle right now. It's in blue. It says link. So if I click on that, I can literally put a link to any website I'd like. So I mentioned one of the advantages of stories is you can include clickable links, whereas you cannot do that on a post and you cannot do that on a reel. So imagine creating a reel. Let's say you've got a listing out there and you create a reel where you're giving like a quick walking tour of your listing. And then, once people see it, they've got no way to go visit that listing's website or to go visit your website to go learn more or whatever the case may be. So what you would say in the reel is, if you like this home, come check out my profile, watch my stories to see even more. And then you post Instagram stories where you just show different images of the home that you used for the walking tour. But on each one of those stories, you put a link back to the listings website or to your website or whatever it is that you want to send them. So you can kind of build out your own sales funnel of sorts that way. So stories are just very, very valuable because you can actually get website clicks and traffic from it. And again, you access that by going to the stickers button and clicking that link option. You will not see that option anywhere else on any other type of post on Instagram. So it's a very, very valuable one. If you don't remember anything today about stories, remember that they do allow for link clicking. Lastly, you've got the music button up there, like we do for lots of things now. I could sit there and search for songs. If I have, I can also save music options. Like if I watch somebody else's story or if I watch somebody else's reel and I like the song or the audio clip that they choose, I can save that. And then I have a save section here at the top where I can go look through some of those. So if you wanted to add, music to it, you're welcome to do that with this section here. And then at the bottom there, you'll notice you have the option to either add it to your stories or where it says close friends. If you add it to your stories, it means anyone's going to be able to see it. Anyone that follows you will be able to see it. Close friends, you are able to create a like secondary list, if you want to think of it that way, on Instagram of close friends where only they'd be able to see it if you posted it that way. So from a marketing point of view, marketing yourself and your business, there's not a really good use case for that. That's more of something that's just, a lot of private people like to use. But that is what it means, just so you know. So once you click that or you click that arrow button, it'll post as an Instagram story for you. And you're off to the races with these. Now, as I may have mentioned, I hope you can post more than one Instagram story in a day. And there's lots of brands out there that do that very much on purpose. Especially if you follow some of like, a lot of fashion brands or things like that, or if you go follow Nike or something, you're going to notice that, their bread and butter is on stories because they can sit there and post, you know, 30 stories in a day of their different, pieces of clothes or shoes they have out or something like that. And they've always got their bubble jumping to the top of the screen in your feed if you follow them. So stories again are very, very good at just staying relevant just with your name alone up there. So if you're at an event or something and you just want to capture some behind the scenes stuff, don't feel like you need to post, even if you've got 5 or 6 pictures from the event that happened at the same time, don't feel like you have to post those back to back to back as a story. I'd spread some of those out if you could, because then you're going to kind of stay relevant and be at the top of people's feed all day, as opposed to them seeing them all right at once. And then your bubble's just kind of gone and disappeared, if you want to think of it like that.
So, Jason, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So you post a story, or at
Uh-huh.
least you think you did. How can you tell if it got posted? How can you
You'll
tell?
see it right here at the top of the screen. So do you see how the first bubble is actually that Atlantic Bay logo?
Mm-hmm.
That would be that's just because that's our profile picture.
Okay.
So that would be your profile picture if you saw
Okay.
it, if you were looking at your own screen. And
Got
you
it.
would have, you see how the other circles have that like purplish, yellowish, pinkish circle around it?
Yep.
Yours would have the same thing if you posted a story.
So this would be have a yellowish, purplish look to it.
Yep. So the far left hand one would be yours, would have that as well.
Oh, okay, good.
And then you'd be able to click on it and watch it. And you'd also be able to see results, like how many people had seen it, all that kind of stuff. All right. So let's talk about the big one. Let's
We
talk
got
about
one.
reels.
We got one more quick question.
Yeah, fire away.
Okay. So on the AI and changing the background, can you show us how to
Mhm.
do that again, real quick?
Yeah, let me pull up a story again real quick. So I'm just gonna choose that same image. Hold on, I did a reel. I keep doing that.
So go to the plus,
Yep.
story,
Choose
picture.
the image you want to use, right?
Uh-huh.
And then it's
Okay.
so not the X, but the first button beside the X.
Oh, so this one right here.
Yep. And so if
Okay.
I click on that, it's going to take a second. And if you've never pulled it up before, it's going to ask for permission to do it. But then you'll notice it'll cut out. Now, depending on the picture you chose, it may not work. So, like, if there's no true subject of the picture you chose, do you know what I mean? Like, if it's just like an outdoor scene, it's probably not going to have anything to cut out. But if it's like a selfie that you have, or a picture of your dog, or some people at closing, or you know what I mean, something like that, it's going to have something to snip out. And then once it's done that, sorry, my phone keeps falling asleep. Once it's done that, we can kind of scroll through here. It says I can describe the backdrop I want as well. So I'll type in snow and it pulled out. So that wasn't even one that it offered
Hmm.
as an example. So they're really trying to dial in their templates and their AI and so it gave me two options for snow.
Hmm.
Um, so again, I'm aware this is like, hey, I don't really maybe quite understand how I'd use this, and you wouldn't use this all the time. You know what I mean? Like it is a silly feature, but I can't stress enough its actual impact on the app itself and how you will get more engagement from it. They will kind of throttle you up, you know, organically because you're using their stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so let's talk about Reels. Um, so a lot of similar stuff between Reels and Stories. Just again, a few more features, a few more steps. So as before, I'm going to click on the plus button in the bottom middle there. For me, Reels comes up automatically, as I've mentioned every single time because I keep forgetting. But if you need to scroll between them, you can. So make sure you go to Reels. As I keep mentioning, if you wanted to film the reel in real time, you could click that camera option. It would switch you over to your camera, whether it's front facing or back facing. You know, it's completely up to you. And you could film there, and you got some different effects if you're filming in real time. Some different like layout options. If I click on that, I have two sides of the screen now where it would allow me to record one video on this left hand side, and then I would record a second video that would happen on this right hand side. There's different versions of that layout as well. I mean, there's just tons of little effects, filters. Um, Sometimes people wonder about like the green screen option. If I click on that, this is something you can only do kind of like live in the moment. But I can have a background or I could upload my own background to it. Like if I wanted to have my face here, I could do choose background. Excuse me one second. So I can do a background that they have, or I could go to my camera roll. So like if I wanted to go this guitar that I got, right? I could do like a whole video and be like, "Hey, I got this Telecaster the other day. Here it is. Here's what this does, like this, that, and the other." You could do the same thing with like, you know, a closing contract or explaining to people how certain things worked. There's just different ways you can do overlays and stuff here. So I'm gonna get my face off this because it freaks me out while I'm trying to record at the same time. So anyway, I'm back on my camera roll for Reels. So that's how I can switch back into camera if I wanted to. With Reels, you have to remember they're usually video. Okay. So yes, you can select images. If you do, it's normally like multiple images. So it almost ends up more like a slideshow. So if you decide to do that, one of the things I'd really recommend doing is utilizing that feature. If you look in the top right hand corner, it says templates. So I'm going to click on templates real quick. And there's recommended ones and there's trending ones. So if you watch Reels, you have seen these before where it ends up putting it to a selected song and the pictures or the video might change at the right time. And so what I would do is like if this particular style of reel, let's say this is the one that I wanted to use, I could click on this template and now this is like the general template. But I can, if you look at the bottom, I can insert my own videos here or images here. And so what'll happen is it'll be my version of this, but it'll change at the right time and match the song. So lots of people do like trending templates this way so that you don't have to build the entire reel. You can just quickly select the videos of your own that you want in each slot, and then you're kind of ready to roll with a pre-made, pre-edited reel. So templates are a really, really good way to do something that you know is trending and popular that you don't have to spend a lot of time editing. So I'm going to back out of the templates section. Um, so as I mentioned, or as I keep saying, usually an Instagram reel is a video or multiple videos selected and put together. I tend to recommend that people only make them about 30 seconds long. They can be up to 90 seconds long, but that is very, very long. No one is going to watch one typically for that amount of time. If you're doing something that's like 90 seconds long, especially if it's about real estate or the mortgage world or something like that, I'd really try to break that up into three separate reels that are 30 seconds long. And you're going to have more content that way, and it's a lot easier to keep people's attention that way as well. Um, Now I mentioned, usually we use videos and that's all fine and dandy. Let's say I wanted to use this photo, and I'm going to use a photo today as the example just because I find it less distracting when I'm trying to work with you all, so we don't have a video flashing the whole time as I move forward through these steps. I could select this one. I could select that one I mean, there's whatever I want here, right? I could select two images. I also have the option, if you look at the top middle button, Clip Hub, where I could insert a reaction and you can look, they all kind of emote different things. But like, I'll do the classic UFC shocked one that a lot of people use, right? So let's say whatever you were posting was supposed to or meant to surprise people. I could include that or utilize it. I'm not going to as my example, but I just want to show you how the GIFs actually work. Um, there's my edit video option. Let me get back to what I was going to do in the first place, though. So I've got my two images and or videos chosen, whatever you want to do. Then I'm going to hit next. Now this is trying to get me to pick a song right now. I don't have to do that. I can do that later in the process, which I'm going to. So I'm just going to hit skip for right now. So now I'm on what I would consider to be stage 2 of the process. Stage 1 is either recording or choosing your content. Stage 2 is where you're going to be able to actually edit it. So as you're used to at the top of the screen, we've got our text option. I'm not going to go over that again with the A. That sticker feature is back. Again, you're not going to find the links here, but one of the things that you will find, the important one for Reels, is the captions one. It's that second option at the top. If you are talking in your video, or if you decide to record a voiceover, if you hit that captions button, it will automatically caption out your video and put the words on the screen for you. You don't have to type them in. You do have the ability to go in and correct them if they get something wrong. They do a pretty good job, though. I mean, you have to really have tripped over a word or something for it to get it wrong. But you do have the ability to edit. But I cannot recommend that option enough, especially if you're real. If what's important is um, what you're trying to say and educate them on. If what you're showing is the most important thing, like if it's a home, I wouldn't do the captions feature because then the words are going to take up a little bit of the screen. But if you're trying to educate or teach something, the captions are so important because lots of people scroll Instagram with their volume all the way down. And so if they just see your mouth moving, they don't know what you're talking about, they're going to quickly scroll past you. So I really can't recommend that feature enough. If I click on the music icon at the top of my screen, it's going to be kind of similar to stories, but I do have some more options here. So, for instance, I could pick a song, I could search for one. As you can see, I have a voiceover option here. So I could start recording a voiceover right now if I wanted to, if I wasn't on screen or if I wasn't talking during my video or something like that. I certainly have that option. I'm going to go back to music real quick. If I had saved any from other reels I'd seen that I wanted to utilize, I could do that and go to my saved section here. I'm just gonna like randomly pick one so I can show you something real quick. Um, I can pick the section of the song that I want to utilize. So it'll show me what the lyrics are. So it's not like it just randomly picks a part of the song for you. I can scroll through and pick the exact section of the song, that I want in order to utilize that so it makes the most sense. I hit done at the top of my screen. Now, if I go back to that music function, that music button at the top, I have a section that says controls, and I'm going to have two sliders now. So I have a slider for the song. If I didn't want the song to be at 100%, maybe I just wanted it barely in the background, I can control my volume that way. Now, these are just static images, but if it was a video and I was talking, I'd be able to control the level of volume on the video as well. So again, I'll go back to the example. Let's say I'm at a listing or I'm doing a home tour or something. If the HVAC kicks on and it's super loud, or I live out in Virginia Beach, so a fighter pilot can kind of go overhead at any time. If I don't want that in my video, I'll just bring that all the way down. I can bring my music up. If I recorded a voiceover, I'd see a third bar here. I can control the volume of the voiceover. So you've got lots of options in terms of volume control, which is one of the reasons I like to do the music here. And I hit that skip button, a few screens ago. But the volume control helps a lot there, depending on what your goals are and what you want to do. Beside the music button there, you do have like filters if you want to do that for some reason. I'm not a big filter user personally. But if you like to use filters or the beautification filter or whatever it is you want to do, go for it. That's there for you if you decide to utilize that. Um, and then the other thing I'll go over really quickly in the bottom left-hand side of the screen is the edit video, where I can just see the layers of different things that I have. So you can see the top layer is the images, the two images I decided to use. That middle layer is the song I decided to use. If I wanted to add text or words to it, I could click that third layer and add text or words to it. If I wanted to add a clip or like a GIF, I could do that as well. If you look at the bottom, I have an option that says add clips or clip hub. So if I go to clip hub, I could go choose those ones I was kind of talking about at the beginning. So I could do, I'll pick the Magic Johnson one. And so now, again, that's not a good choice for what I did. I'm just trying to show you a random example, by the way. Do you know what I mean? You can find your own reaction gifts that'll fit what you're trying to do. But now if I played it, it'll go from the first picture of my dog to the second picture of my dog to, again, the wrong gift choice, but the interaction there with it. And so you'll see those a lot of times if you're watching reels. Like it'll be somebody's video or somebody's a couple images, and then suddenly it'll cut to like a really popular trending like meme or GIF. That's how they're doing it. They added it with these at the bottom. So we have lots of stuff we can do from this edit screen as well. And what's really important here is like, as I hope you can imagine, it's really impossible for me to, you don't want to add all of these, right? There is a point in time where you can make a reel that has just too much stuff going on. But you do want to add something. You never want to post a reel that is just an image with nothing, or just a video with only you talking and there's no sort of effect, or there's no music, or there's no GIF at. I mean, the point of a reel is the editing and kind of building of it all. So just like before on the stories where I said you'll be rewarded for using that AI feature, on a reel, you will get more engagement and more people viewing this particular video if you'll utilize the features that they put in here. And so it's about knowing where they're at, which is the goal of today's session. And then you're going to find the ones you like, and it becomes muscle memory. You do have to, the first few reels you make, it's going to take a little while. But once you get that muscle memory down, you know where the buttons are, you know the features you like and the ones to just you never look at, you can build them really, really quickly. And again, using those templates I showed you at the beginning can be very helpful too. That kind of does the work for you, especially if it's more of a slideshow that you're looking for.
So Jason, quick
Yes,
question
sir.
for you. So like when I'm seeing your screen and then I look at my screen, a lot of these edit features, the buttons are a little different. They're in different
Mm-hmm.
places.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about that. And is it going to
Well,
be different for every phone or?
it can be by phone. It can also be by what version if you're not updated entirely on the app. It depends on what update each of us are on Instagram.
Hmm.
It's also Instagram does they do a lot of A/B testing. I mean, a lot of people are more familiar with this with Facebook, where like people, when I help people Facebook, they'll be like, I swear this feature was here, or this is how I edited it last week, and now it's in a different spot. They move stuff around all the time to find out where people prefer it to be, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So it's a mix of a lot of things. It can be different on Android versus iPhone. It can be the update that your Android or iPhone are on. It can be the update that the Instagram app is on. Um, it can be whether you're a business profile on Instagram or a personal profile on Instagram. I mean, there's tons of factors. Overall, though, even if they're in slightly different locations, the features roughly should be the same. But that does, and that's again why when we get into like the real nitty gritty of helping somebody out, that's why the one-on-one sessions are so important because I can really kind of look at it from your particular end and see where stuff is. But on the whole, yes, it might be slightly in different locations, but the naming convention should be the same. Your options should be roughly the same, but it's very normal for it to be in different locations for sure,
Okay.
unfortunately. And so let's just say this is how I wanted it to be. I can double click and bring it back to the full screen. Then once I've got all my editing right, and if I've got my text on here, whatever I decided to do, I can hit the next button in the bottom right hand corner, and that's going to take me to the third and final stage, where just like before, I'm creating my actual post. So I can write my caption, include whatever hashtags I want to include, whatever the case may be. If I want to tag certain people, like I said, if I wanted to tag Tony or the business I was at or a coworker, I can do that. I want to really showcase the location though. We talked about that. I said I'd come back to it on Reels. It's way more important on Reels. So sometimes, when I'm teaching this or when I'm talking to people one on one and I tell them, Reels are so important because it reaches people all throughout Instagram. Like it gives you the most views and it gets you the most reach. Sometimes people will be like, well, look, I don't really care if somebody in California is seeing my post. I want people who I can do business with to see my post, which makes perfect sense. I completely understand. If you add your location here, you're able to say, Charlotte, North Carolina, Virginia Beach, Virginia. I can get even more detailed than that. I can say I'm at, the Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group option you see there. That would be the specific address in Virginia Beach that I could add. I could put a business address. I mean, we've all heard and seen geotags before. But what this is going to do is allow you to do that so that more people in that immediate circle see this reel. It's not going to go out as broadly across the entire app. So you can expect your views and your reach to decrease than if you had not done this because it's not going out across the entire app to everybody. But the people that do see it will be more from your immediate area. So it's just one of those things you have to weigh out. And then lastly, if I do advanced settings, just like before, I have the option to schedule this instead. So what you need to know with Instagram Reels is your options are really one of three things. You can either post it immediately, you can save it as a draft, or you can schedule it for later. If you post it immediately, obviously, no duh, it posts it immediately, but you need to know that you can no longer edit a reel once it's posted. You can edit the caption, like what you wrote about it, but the actual reel itself, the only option would be to delete it and redo it. If it's saved as a draft for you to come back to later, it's not posted, only you can see it, but you do have the ability to go back and edit and do whatever you want to it until you post it. If you schedule it for later, it's kind of a mix of both. Obviously, it's going to post for whatever day and time you selected, but you do have the ability to edit it up until the point that post is scheduled to go out and go live. So I'm going to go back. Like I said, you can see at the bottom there, I could save draft or hit share. I would suggest as the last thing for this step, I would say keep your description short, your caption short on this. The reels are meant to, not many people are going to read the caption on a reel, is what I'm trying to say. So don't feel like you need to write a paragraph and all that kind of stuff. Keep it short and sweet. Most people are just going to watch your video and keep on moving. I would write something there. I wouldn't leave it blank. But you don't need to, write a manifesto or anything like that. So,
Quick question, Jason.
uh-huh.
You mentioned hashtags. How
Mhm.
important are those these days?
Not super. They are they're helpful, but it's not the thing that's going to make or break anymore like it used to be. You know what I mean? So I kind of tell people, the best thing to do, and this has been a tip for a long time, just have a notes app on your phone with the hashtags that you like to use most often, like save a block of them, you know what I mean? And just copy and paste it into your caption each time if you're going to use it. But also don't freak out and pull your hair out if you forgot hashtags either. Hashtags were like a thing. You know how I keep mentioning use features because that will help increase your viewership. And like if you use the features that Instagram gives you, they'll give you like a boost. That's far more important than using hashtags were super helpful like 12-ish years ago. It was really one of the only ways to join like a broader discussion and conversation. It still puts you in a list of stuff, don't get me wrong, but it just not many people, you're not going to see a rush of business and an increase of followers from hashtags the way you used to.
Yeah.
So it certainly doesn't hurt anything. It is helpful, but it's not the end all be all that it once was. You know what I mean? I'd much rather you see somebody have a true grasp on making good content and how to create it and edit it and forget to use a hashtag, um, than have not great content, but always having a list of hashtags. Like, you know what I mean? So they're important. They're great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be the thing that puts you over the edge.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
While
So
we're
that's
here,
kind of
is there any other questions from people out there in the, no, everybody's doing good? Anybody here?
I have a
Question?
question.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
yep.
Because
Go
I was
for it.
trying to follow and I was trying to do a reel. And I'm just lost because it's bringing up all the stuff that's not even me or on my phone or in my photos. And I don't. So
So
will
when you
this video be, will we be, I know this is being recorded. So can I rewatch this later today to see where I'm going wrong and what, so you don't have to go back through it again right now? Like how to start a reel off?
Yeah, absolutely. Tony recorded it, so we'll be able to send that to you.
Yeah.
Okay, because I definitely.
And
It could
also
be that
one of
she
the
has
things
to
we can't,
allow access from her photos to Instagram.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
that's it's exactly right. So I
Yeah.
think it was
Say
Devin
it
who said
again?
that.
What do
Yeah.
you say?
If you haven't allowed access for Instagram to access your camera roll and your like photo albums, then you're not going to be able to see your stuff there. It usually does tell you that though. Like if you open it up, it'll say like, "Hey, please allow access to your photo albums." But initially your settings aren't set up to where Instagram can't, it has to ask permission to be able to access your photos basically.
I mean, usually when I do a post or something, my pictures come up. So how do I make sure that that's the setting that I have?
Well, if you've got that set up, then it should work. So again, when you go to create the post and you click on reel at the bottom, like I'm at right now,
Reel at the bottom.
yeah, right down here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
what do you see when you click on reels? Like right now, what do you see?
Something about, it looks like something about the stock market. I don't even know. There's a bunch of pictures of some,
The stock market.
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's crazy. I don't understand
okay.
what it is, stuff that's
Yeah,
not even
that
mine.
that one might have to be a separate discussion. I don't know what would be bringing up the stock market. I'm gonna be honest
I
with
mean,
you on
well,
that one.
pictures of something somebody did, evidently they did a reel or something about, I don't even know what it is, to be honest with
Okay.
you, but stuff that's not
So one of the
mine.
things we can do is we can also set up like a 15 or 30-minute with
Yeah,
Jason
I think that might be a
at
good
another
call.
time, and we can kind of go into more detail there for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Patricia. Just make sure and get a hold of me and I'll set it up for you. Okay.
And who are you?
Hey, Jason, I have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm on camera now, so I have pants on. Everything's fine.
There he is, right on.
So, speaking about editing, I usually do my editing in CapCut. Do you think that there's
Yes.
a difference, like a algorithm difference between doing it in CapCut versus doing it in the IG
No.
editing process?
No. CapCut is great. It's one of those, for those who don't know, CapCut is a third-party downloadable program for your mobile device, that gives you a lot more editing options. A lot of some of the trending Instagram, reels you'll see are created using, there's other programs. CapCut's the most popular one by like a mile though. So no, so the question is, if you edit your reel in CapCut and then post that finished reel to Instagram, will they like diminish your results? You know what I mean? Will they know you didn't build it? No for CapCut, but yes if shared from TikTok. So before CapCut became a thing, people were always like, I way prefer the TikTok builder is better. They have a better video builder in TikTok than they do on Instagram. Instagram is way behind on that, in my opinion. Problem is, and the thing that TikTok did that was great is when you make a video on TikTok, you can immediately share that to any social site you want. You know what I mean? Which is awesome. But Instagram certainly does not want that. You know what I mean? And so what ends up happening is if you share it from TikTok directly, you will get pinged for that on Instagram. We've seen the results time and time again. What I do like to do sometimes with CapCut, or what I've seen done that has worked really well, is sometimes still utilizing the Instagram like music feature where you bring in your video but still do their audio, because then you're kind of playing the best of both worlds that way. It's worth A/B testing from time to time. But for the most part, the mortgage bankers I've worked with and other people I've talked to and utilized it, we've never really seen a big hit on CapCut, because at the end of the day, you're still uploading to Instagram directly. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest trick. I mean, even with TikTok, you're still going to see a better result if you were to do that, download from TikTok and then re-upload to Instagram, versus doing just that straight up share feature. But I really try to get people to keep TikTok to TikTok when they can and Instagram on its own, but CapCut doesn't seem to have any kind of downside on Instagram that I've been able to see yet.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I
Keep
do
going.
appreciate everybody's time.
So
Thank you.
let's just do an overview from the top.
Mhm.
And you can bring up your screen and just kind of go from, the different types of posts.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
kind of roll back to the regular post and
Yeah.
say,
One second.
today we have talked about and learned these things, and see if anybody has anything they missed.
All right. So within Instagram, as the recall, real quick, if you want to call it that, within Instagram, we've got our timeline, which I'm scrolling up and down on right now. These are accounts that I follow. On this, I'm either going to see Instagram Reels or I'm going to see static posts that these accounts have made. I can engage with that however I'd like, comment, share, all that kind of stuff. Up at the top is where it gets a little different. These are still accounts that I follow, but they're Instagram stories. So these are the ones that are only going to last for 24 hours, as I mentioned. You can add multiple stories in a day if you'd like to. You're always going to see ads. That's what we're looking at right now. But yeah, so these are Instagram stories that only last for a day. So stories are up at the top. Your static posts and your reels can be found here in the timeline. Or if I just want to watch reel after reel after reel, I can click on the button towards the bottom right-hand side that looks like it has a play symbol inside of a square. And now I can just watch reel after reel after reel. Like I can just keep scrolling. Some of these will be people I follow. Most of them will be accounts I've never heard of. And they're just trying to send them to me based off of the habits and the content that I seem to interact with the most on my Instagram account. So this is a good way to see how other people utilize it, find and discover new and different people, whatever the case may be. Now, when it comes time to create, which is what we focused on mostly today, it's always done from the bottom in the middle with the plus sign there. And once I'm on that, for the most part, unless it brings up some stock options or something like that, we'll have to get that figured out for. But for the most part, your camera roll should pop up. And I have a little scroll wheel here at the bottom where I can go between posts, stories, or reels to create those. We didn't go over live today, but that's a different story. I'm not an enormous fan of going live in the first place, but that's exactly how it sounds. You literally go live and talk to the people live in the moment. So it's less of a post and more of a real feed happening in real time. Reels, as I may have mentioned, or did mention for sure, are technically the most important type of post you can make. It reaches the most people, including those who do not follow you. So it's a great way to increase your followers and increase your overall engagement on your profile. But they are the most difficult to create. So it takes the most time to make these, but it's the most rewarding in terms of growing your profile and your sphere of influence. Stories, they only last for 24 hours. But you do have the ability to add links, clickable links to stories. So it's a great way if you've got somebody who was hooked from a reel that you made, and then they go and visit your profile, they can see a story and you can send them off and get website traffic to your desired location from Instagram stories. And then lastly, we have the old school, the original, the Instagram post. Super, super simple to make. You can choose just a couple images, just one, whatever you want to do. But just know that these are really good for, like, if you got a really professional photo taken of you or really good photos of a home, it's nice. You can post them. It looks good, but it's going to get you the least interaction within the app. Most people are there for Instagram Reels and Instagram Stories. So if you're going to start posting a lot more, it's easy and tempting to post these most of the time, but it's the one I would personally post the least or recommend posting the least. So between those three, you can kind of rank them that way. Everyone's going to have their own version of which they prefer and like best and do more of. But at the end of the day, a healthy balance between all of them is what you're looking for.
Yeah. Jason, thank you so much. What I'd like to get from the people that are in the room and y'all, just one nugget that you took away from this. So I'm going to call on people because I know that's really fun. Devin Gibson, what's one thing you took away from this?
Yeah, that I needed to update my app. Some of those features I was missing for sure, but
Okay.
the how to do the voiceover, like the changing of the music in the background and the voice over top and stuff like that. I was always wondering how they did that, so that was a really cool feature that I learned.
Awesome. How about you, Keith? What's a nugget you took away?
For me, it was that on the story, which I very rarely utilize, which I will start now because of the fact that it'll keep your name and your profile picture right at the top, which as real estate agents and real estate professionals, that's what we want. We want to stay top of mind. And what easier way to do it than posting something on your story on Instagram.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Lorena, you've been really quiet. Anything that you took away from this?
Well, I'm no, I'm not a social media person, but I want to learn about the Instagram, post my in my Facebook and Instagram. I catch some people through my social media. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your analogy because for me was really helpful.
Awesome. Thank you, Lorena. And Trisha, what did you take away from this?
I have a lot to learn. No, I need to start doing reels and stories for my listings as opposed to just post, because
Okay.
obviously they're not getting out there like they need to. So I'm going to try to get it together in the next couple of days because I have listings that are just sitting there.
Got it. Miss Christina, what did you take away from this?
I find it super easy to just, copy what I'm doing in Facebook and just post it on Instagram.
Mhm.
But I'm glad you emphasized that I need to start doing, reels just as often. But with that, I have a question. So with Facebook, I use that a lot because I do boost on the first weekend, for the first week that a listing's live. But I don't see that option in Instagram, like a paid boost. Is that true?
So they need to be, so you have to connect them, and it has to be what's called an Instagram business account or page. So you know how like with Facebook you got your personal page and then you have your business page, then that's what you use to boost these posts that you're talking about.
Right.
On Instagram, it doesn't quite work that way. You don't have two separate pages. You can upgrade or update your personal account to be what's called a business account with them. It doesn't change anything about your Instagram page other than it allows you to see insights and who's interacting with you more. All your followers stay there, all your old posts stay there. So it's a bit of a better setup than Facebook has, where it's like two different things,
Right.
But you do need that and connect it to your Facebook account. And
And
as long as those two are like connected to each other, then when you create a Facebook ad, it automatically gets put onto Instagram for you.
Oh, okay. That's probably the most important thing I learned today. Thank you
Right.
so much.
Right
You're
on.
welcome.
Yeah, you bet.
Aren't you not supposed to boost anyway? You're supposed to market your, because boosting doesn't get you the coverage or the,
It
I
depends
was
on what
always
you're.
told, don't use boost to,
I
go in
usually
and
tell
do
people
ad
that
manager.
too. It depends on what the overall goal is. Okay. So a boost is just a one variety of paid ad that you can launch with Facebook and Instagram. Let's just call it the Meta suite with all of their platforms. When you boost a post, what you're telling them is the goal is you want as many people to see this as possible. So you're not paying for link clicks. You're not paying for video views. You're not paying for, they have a variety of goal types that you can pick from. And so a lot of times when people do the quote unquote boosted post, they've done it because that's the first type that they advertise to you. It's below every post you make on a business page. And it's just a lot of times people would run those thinking in their head, like, oh, I wanted to get conversions or I wanted to get website clicks. And that's not what a boosted post is offering you. All it's offering you is that more people will now see this post. There's no guarantee they'll like it, comment on it, share it. It's just it will be seen by more people. So it's not that a boosted post is inherently bad. It's just sometimes people aren't aware of what the actual goal of that ad type is and that there's other ad types that you can choose from.
Interesting. That could be a whole Instagram 103.
It can be a thing. Yeah. I'm iffy on paid ads for lots of reasons, but
Yeah.
we can get into that day.
Awesome. All right, Asher, what's one takeaway that you learned? You there, Asher? Looks like you got two phones connected. That's okay. We'll start here in the room. Frankie, what did you take away from this? The importance of reels. Okay. So Frankie really took away the importance of reels. So thank you, Frankie. And Taylor. Okay. So tagging of the location, that was one of the things that Taylor took away, and to more localize your posts and get better exposure locally, I think. And then Angela, yeah, what did you take away from today? Okay. Okay. So stories was a big aha moment. Yeah. Okay. Have not done a lot with stories or reels, and I think Angela is saying that she wants to commit to doing more of that.
Right on.
Awesome. Let's see here. We got a couple chat questions here. Let's see. Thank you for the class. I have to go. Okay, gotta go. Okay. All right. Well, for all of those that did come, thank you for being here. I am not a Instagram person. I mean, in other words, I'm not a trainer like Jason. So, and my social media needs help too. I just need to focus on it more. But the one thing I do really well is I help you with your buyers and sellers, and I'm on the finance side. Quite a bit different than your typical loan guy. I'm what they call a mortgage planner. So when somebody comes to me or you send me somebody, I'm going to make sure the communication is flawless and that we have that buyer is 100% ironclad pre-approved before they go under contract. So there's a lot in between that I do that I can't share here, but I'd love an opportunity to buy you a cup of coffee and get to know each of you if I can. And my contact information is all over the place. So, but my name is Tony G, but goes by Tony Garshnick, and I'm with Atlantic Bay Mortgage. I've been in the business for over 22 years. And absolutely been here over 5, and absolutely love where I work because of the support that not only gives the people at Atlantic Bay, but also my partners. So, want to just give you a round of applause. Jason, thank you for taking some time here. The last and final question is there another topic inside of Instagram that we would like to learn more about and maybe home in on and just really expand? Anybody have any ideas? Okay. So editing
If you want
reels.
editing, okay. I was gonna
Okay.
say the one thing I would say that I would suggest is thinking outside of Instagram. As I'm an Instagram guy, don't get me wrong, but just understanding that Instagram is important, but there's other things to digital marketing that add on to the puzzle piece. There's no such thing as one app and only one app and I'm good to go. So if you end up taking Instagram seriously and you end up kind of figuring out and liking it and you start like a video strategy, that's the next place I'd point you down, is really start leaning into how to do more with video in and out of Instagram. So pointing to things like YouTube. Again, there's a learning curve to it, but you're impacting a completely different side of the internet, if you want to think of it that way. With Instagram, you're more on the social media side. You have to earn those views. People didn't log on to Instagram today to be sold on a home usually. So you have to find, clever ways to get in front of them and stay in front of them so that one day when they are ready, they remember you. Whereas YouTube, you're really dealing with somebody way further down the cycle in the funnel. And they are searching very, very specifically about, home buying topics. And so by you impacting the search side of the internet that way, and having videos that are ready to roll with YouTube, you don't have to play the entertaining game as much as you do on Instagram. You can really get down to business and hit harder topics for educational purposes. And now you've got stuff from search marketing and social marketing that way. So just something to kind of keep in mind for people who want to really start leaning into video.
Okay. Any other particular topics around Instagram or maybe outside of Instagram that you guys would like to hear more about? Like as we zero in on helping you be the best that you can be with your social media game. Everybody's good? We're all pros? Okay, awesome. I love it. And what I was fishing there for was I was trying to find another topic that you guys would find valuable that we could do maybe a 103 class and maybe dig a little bit deeper. But it sounds like editing is one. Would anybody be interested more on the editing side? Does that sound? And maybe the Instagram tools and maybe one additional tool outside of Instagram? Is anybody else using any other tools outside of Instagram to edit their videos?
Yeah, I had mentioned CapCut.
CapCut. Okay. CapCut. You're not doing them yet, so it's okay.
CapCut or Canva would be really the only two I would truly recommend.
Yeah. Christine, are you using anything outside of Instagram to edit your reels?
I'm not, but I am not the best. So I would not use me as a guide.
Okay. All right.
Well, I agree, Canva. I think Canva is always good to have a refresher on, honestly, because we use it in more than just social media.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we can come up with a lot of topics around this. So I would say when, Jason, maybe our next thing for next month, we can put something on the books for really focusing on editing. Maybe, and let's choose just reels, editing a reel, and spend some more time in going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Would that be valuable for you, Keith?
Yeah, I'm sure I would pick up a few things at least.
Okay. All right. And then what we can do is we can look at one tool. Let's take a vote. Canva or CapCut. So everybody in here is saying CapCut. All right, so let's yeah, that would be one, but we'll focus on the Instagram editing piece, and then we can bleed into CapCut. And then maybe we'll do a whole separate thing on CapCut later on. But yeah, one of the things that Jason did mention is having that strategy put together and then holding yourself accountable to getting those things done. That's the part that I suck at. honestly, and to be, and that I work at and struggle with daily. And in fact, honestly, I wish I could just offload the whole thing and get somebody else to do it for me. But you know what? That doesn't work that way. Because if you're going to be personal and people are going to get to know you, it's hard for anybody to do that. So, but thank you again for joining us. And like I said, I'd love to grab a cup of coffee with each one of you and give you back the rest of your day. And thank you again, Jason. You're the man. And we will see you back. And if anybody wants one-on-one time with Jason, please reach out to me and we can set up that as well. Okay. Thank you guys.
Really
Have a wonderful
appreciate it.
day.
Appreciate your time.
You bet.